Well, eating's cheating, so fresh air as usual.
Eating's cheating?
Yeah.
God,
I'm doing fasting, except for this morning, because the train was so miserable. It was 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
No, you just don't eat for 16 hours of the day.
That's called sleeping. So, welcome back to the studio, dear listener. We've just returned from a week in New York City. Now, this is our second trip to that retail mecca. And last time, of course, we met with Tula, Schofields and Eaton Shirts, which was our last episode. So this time, we were there for NRF, the National Retail Federation, and their big show. And for once, Big Show isn't really an overstatement. This annual fixture draws about 40,000 retailers each January to check out 1,000 exhibitors and hundreds of speakers. And with so much retail talent in town, it's no surprise that a busy schedule of activities has grown around the event, a sort of vibrant off-Broadway performance, if you like. So this year we joined in with all of the extracurricular activity and arranged a store tour. Now, I asked via LinkedIn for suggestions, and it was so heartening, the number of people who, gave of their time and suggestions. And we whittled the suggestions down to 108 stores, which we visited last year. And then out of those, picked 8 that were a combination of inspiring, different, and also proximate to each other, and wandered around them. So Jamie and I visited Schofields, which was talking about the future of the department store, Amazon 4-star, Atelier Beauté Chanel, which was incredible, the Gucci flagship, also incredible, the Real, Camp, probably my favourite, and Neighbourhood Goods, also reinventing the department store. So, Jamie, welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
What were your thoughts on NRF, first of all, and then we'll get on to the store tour?
Well, NRF, I've been fortunate to visit a few times, and in many ways, every single time you go there, it's very formulaic. You do the similar kinds of things, but within all that bigness, as you mentioned before, and all that stuff that you've probably seen before, there's an awful lot of new stuff. And I think the buzzword for me this time, because everyone likes a buzzword,
Go on then, buzz away.
Probably going to say several words and rather than buzzword, but never mind, is in-store analytics, or bringing data or the learnings from data out from stores to people who want to make decisions based on that data.
Yeah.
Now, I know that's not particularly new, and we've been counting footfall and all that sort of stuff, but it seems like we've gone up a notch in terms of how scientific and detailed we're getting, so that we're starting to get some of the sort of web metrics, really are starting to get some of the web metrics that we've been talking about for a while. It's finally coming. So I saw some really interesting things there. So if you were to blend them together with what you're getting in other channels, like online, then you're starting to get a fuller picture, and that whole sort of single customer view, so on and so forth, starts to really flesh out. So I thought it was quite interesting.
I'd agree with that. And I think I was also intrigued to see the first time I'd witnessed that the US market paying attention to privacy and GDPR. So one of the in-store analytics companies doesn't do anything identifiable. It just gives you a heat signature and then tracks you around as if it's, missile lock-on. So it knows that you and I are different, but it doesn't know who we are. So you have anonymous tracking, you have eye gaze, you have product tracking. The whole lot is really coming together in quite an insightful, massive data.
Well, exactly. And I think some of the things that you thought perhaps weren't possible in the West, as opposed to in China, where it's a bit more normal, there's facial recognition and all that sort of stuff. I think we're starting to use that and get round some of the issues and challenges of privacy that we have experienced before. And so we're beginning to catch up on that, because there's no doubt that it can be helpful. But clearly, all of us want to protect our privacy, and we want to make sure that we're able to do what we want to do without being tracked too much.
I'll protect it or make sure I get a good voucher.
Well, exactly. I'll do it for 20% off.
It has been said. Now, I'd agree with you that the in-store bit is particularly strong. I thought this year was very much a year of consolidation. So they seem to do this every couple of years, where it's as if there's nothing new. It's just it's all started working a lot better and has gone from promise and prototype to deployable and commercial. So I think my main takeaway was that, all the people I visited just had product that was shipping now with case studies, and it seemed to be delivering ROI. It was just a year of everything working for me.
Well, I mean, I don't want to labour the point on in-store analytics, but we saw it, we heard it a lot. As you said, it felt like it was a buzzword and a lot of people were talking about it. But then you go to some of the stores that we saw on the store tour and they're actually using it and they're getting data and they're telling, you know, in the case of some of the department store type businesses that we saw, they're telling the brands that they sell what's going on, which is justifying the fees that they're charging. So,
And that's a great segue, because neighbourhood goods is the one that stood out for me on that. I mean, we were lucky that we had a really nice session with Matt, the founder and CEO of Neighbourhood Goods. And one of the things that he was saying that totally surprised me was he was going down the road saying, oh, yeah, we're a retail platform. And I'm thinking, yeah, I've heard that before. And then he just pointed to the walls where you could see tracking devices. And they're all literally hidden. But he's offering startup brands and digital native brands the kind of real world retail tracking that they've never had access to before, even though they've had online tracking. And so this idea of a platform to understand customer behaviour all of a sudden made a lot more sense.
absolutely. And when it starts to justify, as I said, the fees that they're charging, everyone starts to become a lot more happy in the relationship, because you know that if it doesn't work out, you can leave based on real decisions rather than, you know, gut. And there's still a role, of course, for gut and anything. But, you know, you start getting the real data and it tells you, yes, it's working for you, no, it's not. And you can make decisions accordingly, which I think strengthens probably the relationship between him, his business, and the companies he works with. And I mean, it helps him find the right partners, and the right partners will make his business work.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, who else on our store tour have you been talking about afterwards? So, you know, which one made an impression on you?
Well, I don't want to steal any of your thunder, Ian, because I think we probably agree on this one, but we met a bunch of staff generally across the stores who were fantastic. Special mention for Amy from Gucci and Worcester Street.
Yes.
Who was just phenomenal as a curator, she was called.
She was incredible. So to put this in context, all of the staff we met throughout our store tours, you know, they are, I think, the pinnacle of retail staff anyway. And then you head downtown to the flagship, so you get the creme de la creme. But some stood out. What's above the creme? It's something. It's the super creamy creme on the creme.
With the cherry.
The cherry on the creme. And Amy, who's in the Gucci flagship, she took a group of us, talked us through everything from who made the tiles on the walls, the history of the building, to insight on her customer and selling approach. It really was quite inspiring for the future of retail.
It was, absolutely. But you wonder, I mean, just playing sort of devil's advocate, you wonder, you know, with this sort of race to get the best talent, Gucci's a well-known brand at big scale. It can probably afford it and do it and all that sort of stuff. It is, because Amy's there and doing a great job. But where does that leave everyone else? How are they going to compete and get the best talent, like all businesses, I suppose? Yeah. But it's particularly difficult when perhaps the high street, so to speak, not necessarily the luxury part of the high street, but the high street is not doing so well. You know, how do you afford to get those people into your business, keep them, make
but I
them
think,
happy?
You know, the other side of it is, how can you afford not to have them?
Well,
I mean, Amy made a very interesting comment, because we asked about the customer, and she said, nobody who walks into this store doesn't know Gucci and doesn't know how to use a web browser. So they could already have bought everything they want. So the fact they come in time and again shows that there's an experience they're getting that sustains their relationship with the brand. And I think that's really where, you know, throughout all the retailers we looked at, the staff in all cases were just above and beyond. You know, they have to be business people, brand people, performers, stand-up comedians, you know, mobilizers and motivators of staff. It really is the place, I think, that, you know, if your kids said, oh, I want to go into retail, Dad, you'd send them to New York to say, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that camp was probably your favourite, but I mean, the entrance to that, if you're a 5-year-old, is pretty special, isn't it?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, I don't want to spoil any surprises. You could Google this and see the videos online, but camp looks like just a normal store. And if you're mulling around as a group of adults, it stays a normal store until a child comes along, when one of the staff will engage them and say, do you believe in magic? And as they chat to the child, they just push the wall away, which disappears in a cloud of smoke, leading to an area that's maybe 5 times bigger, full of toys with 5 performances a day, massive amounts of interaction. And by interaction, I don't mean, you know, kind of lightweight stage stuff. I mean, rip the box open, play with the toys, make a mess, fantastic. Changes, I think, 6-7 times a year. For me, that was the one that combined a real understanding of the customer and the product segment with a real investment in an actual experience that wasn't just trivial or, just a little bit of lipstick on a pig. This really was, the real deal.
Yeah, it was quite incredible. And, I don't know what the economics of all that were, but it was a fantastic experience. It didn't look like it would cost the earth. It was a more imagination being executed rather than expensive stuff that they brought in to make it happen.
Yeah.
People were talking, but I think we saw in various stores, actors are being employed a lot more to make that thing. I mean, yes, they're going to cost a little bit more and all that sort of thing, but it's not going to break the bank necessarily if they get it right.
And the CEO Camp, I bumped into him at an event the day before. He was saying that they'd launched 4 new stores in 3 weeks.
Wow.
So something's working. And I think there's, as he said, that they focus on places that have got children and parents. So it's that's the market.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, we have full details of the store tour. I'll put the link in the program notes so that people can see that. And a big thanks as well to Vinay and the team at Salesforce that did all the logistics and planning and helped us get this off the ground. But it really was great. So you can join us digitally. Anyway, that's enough about our thoughts for now. We were lucky during the tour to be joined by Laura Padfield. She's the head of strategy and business development for international at Marks and Spencer. So we asked Laura to join us in the podcast studio to talk about her impressions and also her work on international strategy and M&S. So let's jump back through time and space and hear from her now. Laura Padfield from M&S. Welcome.
Hello.
Tell our listener a bit about your role and we'll come back then to what you're doing here.
So I work for M&S International, so I focus solely on the international part of the business and have been for about 5 years. And I have the privilege of looking after strategy and business development for international.
Strategy and business development.
Yes.
So strategy is normally without lots of thinking. Business development, hard-nosed, get the sales in. Is that what those things mean for international?
I'm not sure that's what it means. So definitely strategy, the hard-nosed thinking. Definitely, and my team would love that.
Right. Let the record show.
Yeah,
Yes.
The team would love that. Business development, probably I would kind of call that more on the execution of some of that strategy. So if I think about the journey that M&S International have been on over the last 5 years. We've been on an incredible journey. So for those that don't know anything about M&S International, maybe 5 years ago we were a little bit of a tragedy or a little bit of a burning platform in M&S, in that we had quite a few businesses that were not profitable. We couldn't see a route to scale those businesses. We couldn't see the customer having a strong brand resonance in those markets. And so we knew that wasn't sustainable. Equally, I would say our business was quite complicated. So we have got a mixture of equity models. So we've got some owned businesses, some franchise businesses, some JV businesses. Equally, we had different buying models. So some markets bought centrally, other markets bought in country. And all of that made it quite complicated.
Right.
And so we went on a little bit of a stabilization journey where we kind of knew we had burning platforms. And so in 2016, we announced 10 market closures. We closed 55 stores. We sold some of our own businesses over to our franchises just to clean things up.
But keeping the brand.
Absolutely keeping the brand. So we are M&S brand around the world. We don't call ourselves anything else. We were kind of doing a clean-up job and making it a sustainable, profitable business. And I would say we have successfully done that.
So that sounds like you arrive, you see a problem, I'll tidy the problem. Yeah. But that's not the same as then having a strategy which says...
So here we go.
Why? So let's do the hard nose out, do the thinking. So you've stabilised it, so that's good, gives you time to think. What is the purpose of M&S being in market other than in Blighty and Her Majesty's loyal subjects?
What's the purpose? Well, it's amazing the brand resonance we have in some of our strong markets. So if you think about, we have got one of our most profitable and growing businesses in India. And the brand resonance there, they really buy into the British heritage. They really buy into the authenticity of the brand, the trust. I think where some of the Indian customers are buying more into westernization, actually, the M&S brand is an okay brand to buy. It's okay. It's not considered cheap. It's not considered tacky. It's considered to have integrity. And that's what they're buying into. And we know that is the core essence of M&S. If you think why M&S started, it was to commoditize luxury. And that's what we want to do. We know that we've got fantastic product. That's kind of M&S's unique offering. And we know that there are customers out there that want to buy into that product, whether that be clothing and home or food. And so that's what we want to take to market. We want to take that luxury and enable other consumers to buy into it.
So in India, do you do all those three categories?
We don't do food. We do clothing and home.
But you do that in Hong Kong, for example.
Yeah, so some markets we do have the complexity of an international business, imports, regulatory, make food quite complicated. Supply chain equally makes food quite complicated. And India, we haven't cracked it in terms of getting food in. However, Hong Kong, we do have a thriving food business where we sell ambient, but we also sell chilled food. But that chilled food is flown into the market.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But that market can pay for it.
Yeah.
So it's, there's a customer there.
So I want to cover the whole local, global thing in a second. But just thinking back to something you said about the Britishness and the values, there is, I think, a challenge, especially in a country and economy that's being fueled by the growth of young people, is that if they look at something and think, oh, that's my grandmother's brand, or that's what I would have aspired to if I'd been alive in the 1950s, we're talking about people who have a different perception of Britain based on, how the world is now. So when you're looking at that Britishness, what are the values that do translate, and how do those become realised?
There's two things. One is, in the UK, we are trying to move the brand to be slightly younger, and perception could be that we can be a bit mumsy, old mumsy, and we're trying to move the brand to a more growing family market, so it's kind of more relevant for more touch points in your family life. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is actually internationally, our customer does tend to be slightly younger, and the brand is considered to be more fashionable than it is in the UK. So quite often what they're buying into is a premium, fashionable, quality item.
Yeah. And let's link maybe the values bit also with air freighting food into Hong Kong. The values that I'd sort of imbibed as I'd grown up with things about your quality of materials, workmanship, treating people fairly, the sort of the nice values you talk about. Are those the values that people are responding to internationally? And then how does that link with things that people saying, oh, it should be made locally rather than British made? How do you balance that, those aspects of heritage and values?
So it is a complete balancing act. So there is one aspect of just picking up on flying product into Hong Kong. We know that's not sustainable in current climate world. We know that we have to find an alternative solution. But there is an element of you need scale. So we know in the UK, one of the things that people trust us because we have got a top-notch supply chain. We know it's completely closed. We can trace every single ingredient. We know where it comes from, where it's sourced. And that's something that people buy into and are willing to pay for. Our customers equally abroad, those that know us from the UK, expect that as well. And so while some of these markets are developing, while we're trying to establish those supply chains, you need slightly more scale than what we have. And so that will come in time. So we know that as we grow, that's something that we can work through. What was the second part of your question?
Who cares now?
Who cares? Brilliant. Who cares?
At some point, I might replay this.
Oh, look, I know what you were talking about. Local relevance.
This is why you're in strategy. It's that ability to hold more than one thing in your brain.
Okay, right. Let me talk about local relevance, because that's
before we forget.
That's really, it is. Again, that's a fascinating journey that we've been on. So I would say, and this is speaking really honestly, I would say 5 years ago, we very much felt we were a UK business with an international presence, and we were taking the UK catalogue and we were reproducing it and selling it around the world because we knew our business was in trouble, we knew it wasn't profitable enough, and actually we weren't a big enough share of the profit of PLC M&S to be able to ask for anything more. Since we've gone on that stabilisation journey and kind of, restoring the basics, we are actually now about 20% of PLC profit.
No.
Yeah. And so we've kind of got a bit of a stronger voice, and internationally we've got our confidence back. And so, one, we're able to ask more of the UK in terms of this is what we need for our markets. So that's one aspect. Two, we've kind of gone from feeling we're a UK business with an international presence to we're an international business, and actually our customers are really important. And we know that, let me take India again because I do know this one, where you start in a tier 1 city and they understand the brands more, you then move to a tier 2 or a 3 city, which is much smaller, not as developed as the tier 1 cities. Their understanding of that westernization isn't quite where it needs to be. We do things like we do locally supply product, and we slightly tailor the product. So men's shirts in India, nobody wears a jacket. So all of the men's shirts in India have a pockets on because that's where they put their mobile phone or their cigarette packet or their pen or, whatever it is. In the UK, not all men's shirts have a pocket. So therefore, we have to localise that catalogue to put the pocket on.
Oh, equally, I love that example.
Equally, you take linen in India. Everybody loves linen, beautiful quality, beautiful fabric to wear in those warmer kind of environments. The colour palette in the UK is, very Farrow and Ball to a certain degree and kind of quite tame. In India, they love bold print and they love bright colour all year round. So we would take the fit and the design of the linen UK shirt and we would locally supply it in India in a brighter, funner print. And actually, that's what the Indian lady wants to buy into. In the tier 2 cities, we know that they won't go straight from their traditional dress into skirts and shirts. So actually, we sell more jeggings with tunics. And so we are locally...
So it is localised.
We are becoming kind of... As we grow in confidence, we're becoming more locally relevant because we know that's what we need to do to scale.
Is there some of those ideas, are they coming back to
Yeah.
Blighty, as it were, and working as a result of them working there?
Yeah, much to the annoyance of the UK sometimes. In the Middle East, we will curate a range that's called a modest range because we know that the women in Kuwait in the Middle East want to have longer sleeves, longer lengths. And that might be the first bite when you walk into a store and it's curated in that way. And then why aren't we doing that in some of our cities in the UK where actually there's a high Muslim population and actually they might buy into the catalogue being created in that way. There's definitely learnings that you can get both ways.
You can see that really happening. If you do nail the food thing, for example, in markets where you're not today because of the reasons you said already, that would probably come back to this country, or to the UK, I should say, sitting in New York. Anyway, you know what I mean? It probably would come back very well because we love, as a nation, we tend to love that kind of influence of food and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, exciting.
And in practical terms then, are you no longer in a little dingy office with no windows? Have you been brought into the mothership as a full partner in discussions and development now that you're profitable and confident, or are you how do you work with head office?
We were never in the basement. We always had windows. We could see out. Yeah.
Luxury.
But we are all in one building in Paddington, the whole business together. We are working more in conjunction with the UK. We have buying fairs where our franchise partners would come over to, and the UK product categories support us by showcasing their product because they understand their product. They know why they've put this product together. They know where the ranges are going and where the style's going. And so they will come and sell because effectively that event that we're doing is, International have some of the biggest customers in PLC, being the franchise partner.
Yes, of course.
And so actually the UK has a massive opportunity to sell into that franchise partner, get the volume to then be able to negotiate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're definitely part of PLC.
Excellent. Now, if we have name dropped enough, I'm just going to say one more time, where are we?
I can't play this again.
So we're here at NRF, and it's not small.
No.
I think it's about 40,000 people. I haven't counted, but I don't sense any exaggeration. 3 floors, 800 exhibitors, big old place. So, with your hard-nosed, hard-thinking, strategic hat on, has anything tickled your fancy? Have you seen anything that you thought, I'm taking that back to ponder more?
Most definitely. Some of the conversations that you have here, hearing what other retailers are doing globally and facing into some of the same problems that the UK are facing, even though we in the UK consider ourselves quite a mature retail market. I think there is a real voice at the moment around service in stores and what is the role of the store in the future in conjunction with online and how the two need to work together more.
And if someone hadn't told you that this is supposed to be retail plus e-commerce, you could walk around and think this was point of sale plus AI event, couldn't you?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, all the things to do with, on, behind, shelves and data and cameras and robots. It is quite a theme coming out.
There's definitely a theme, but I think there is equally something around the connection with the customer. You're not doing all of those things for technology's sake. You're doing them because actually it's making the customer's journey frictionless. You're doing it because you're enhancing your understanding of the customer so that ultimately you can upsell if that's what you want to do.
And I think you're absolutely right. About 2 years ago, they were showing a lot of robots here.
Yeah.
And the patter went, this robot will be able to do X, Y, and Z. And everyone went, wow, it's a robot. Last year they were showing robots, but the narrative has changed. Instead of saying the robot's going to cut staff, it was no. Staff are so precious.
Yeah.
The robot will do all the rubbish and the admin so that your lovely, amazing staff that you can barely manage to recruit is so competitive, can do higher level things.
And I think when you're in America, I always think it's quite difficult anyway because in America service is service. Kind of everybody is important. But it's kind of quite significant that what that technology is enabling your service people to do is have the information to know that it's customer X coming into the store and actually they're a high value customer, or they always return things, or they always buy multiple products when they buy online, and actually they need to be near a fitting room because you want to get them to try on, to return straight away, to just make the whole experience so much better. And it's about not using the technology for gimmick, but using it to enhance the customer experience. Talking to somebody from Adidas, and he was talking about kind of some of the flagship stores and how ultimately they don't pay for themselves in any way, shape or form, but you're doing it to showcase the best. But what you then have to work out is how you scale that in the rest of your store estate. What aspects are you taking? You have to do the flagships if you're a big brand because you have to showcase, but that's not every store because that's not what every customer is wanting.
Increasing the level of the common denominator is important.
Yeah.
But also, in the US, it's very difficult now to find staff, so you can't afford to lose them once you train them. And I think we'll find in the UK as well. I mean, unemployment's at historic low levels. People just want more. They don't want to sit in the store.
People's expectations have gone up because they can get everything online and all that information. Then you go into a store where actually you want the person that you speak to be an expert on the product, but you're competing against all that information that they've got online, and that's really tough.
Yeah, I think this week, though, one of the, you were asking about 2 years ago, or saying it was 2 years ago it was this, and last year it was this. This year, I think it's in-store analytics. I don't know if you've picked that up, but there's a lot of talk about let's harness some of the data that you would ordinarily get online really easily to make exactly to your point about, work out what's good and then make it work at scale kind of thing. I think that's, so do you see that?
Yeah, most definitely. The other thing is we were all in a store on whatever day this week it was, neighbourhood goods, and actually what the technology that you saw was very, very little. It was the behind the scenes technology.
Exactly.
And actually I thought that was amazingly refreshing, that what they were trying to do was trying to be a really traditional retailer, curate beautiful product that customers wanted. There was a real humbling about the guy that spoke, in that he was like, stores can be intimidating places for our customers, and actually you want to come in and you want to be treated how you personally want to be treated. So you have to be recognised. They have to be able to identify you to do that, which is frightening because none of us really want to lose that privacy in the UK. But ultimately, if you want to go and speak to a cashier, you need to be able to go and do that. If you want to be able to go and pick up your product that you've ordered online out of a locker box or whatever it is, you need to be able to do that. If you want to be sitting down at a table working and somebody bringing your product, you need to be able to do that. You have to. There are so many needs out there that retailers are having to serve.
I think you're absolutely right. We were talking about some of the stores we visited. I think just to tie it back to your earlier point about experience, we visited the Gucci flagship on Worcester, and again, it's not our normal store shopping. It was a totally delectable store. It's not where I
hang out normally.
But Amy, the store manager there, who was absolutely fantastic, wasn't she? Insightful, knowledgeable, emotionally intelligent. She was absolutely
wearing
fantastic.
The brand.
That dress was
wearing
amazing,
the
wasn't
brand.
it?
But what she said in the conversation after was very interesting. She said, look, nobody who walks in this store doesn't know how to use the internet and their credit card.
Yeah.
So she said they've either already bought it or they're about to buy it, or they could just buy several of them, have them delivered.
Yeah.
So it's not about sales as an end. It's about really bringing the brand to life. And they're talking about the values of playfulness and so on. And I know we visited quite a few luxury stores, but there was that sort of, you kind of wanted to giggle a bit when you went in because it was actually fun. Combination of product, environment, and then the ambience they built. And I think that's one of the takeaways I've had is if you want people to keep buying things they don't need, it has to be fun as well.
But more than that, if you want them to come into the store to buy the things that they don't need, you've got to give them an experience to do it. They've got to have a reason. What are they going to get by going into the store rather than sitting on the sofa looking at a device?
And then back to neighbourhood goods. One of the interesting things was the technology they were using was very hidden. I think what Matt, the CEO, was saying was it was about a platform, an analytics platform for physical retail. I may be misquoting, so apologies.
I think that's good enough.
That's right.
But it was about giving the small brands, for the first time, real-time analytics on footfall, dwell time, interest, what people were looking at, what they were buying. And you realise that this is one of the things that platforms can offer back to small brands, manufacturers, direct-to-consumer.
Who wouldn't have access to that data and how their customers are interacting with their brand, how long they're dwelling, what they're picking up and putting down, and all those decisions that go through when you make a purchase.
And he was showing us just on the point of sale, the accessibility and the legibility of these analytics now is so much better than dashboards of 10, 15 years ago.
What's also interesting as well, because cameras and recordings of people and stuff is all, if you're in China, then it's, no one really cares kind of thing. But there's obviously over the West, it's much more of a GDPR type, privacy issue. But they're managing to get round of it. Again, thinking about that innovation centre, NRF, there are a couple of businesses that are getting around that and making it totally opt-in. And I don't know how they do it, but they're doing it. And it's interesting because I never thought it would happen.
There's that one called Door.
Yes,
D-O
exactly.
with a funny little circumflex R, Door.
Of gold.
Where they just do body heat.
Yeah.
So there's no facial recognition. They just acquire you whether you're going in or out by your body heat and then follow a hot blob around the face. So
I got a temperature.
I should speak for
yourself.
Speak for myself, exactly.
Calpol all round.
Yes, that's it. He came to the store, he took some Calpol, he disappeared. Now, when you land back in Blighty, what's on your agenda for the rest of 2020? What's the fun thing that's the thing? I can't wait to get back to my desk because I'm doing X, Y, and Z.
Where's M&S going next?
Hang on, I'm supposed to ask the question.
Yeah, no,
So where's
that's the fun thing.
question.
That's the fun thing.
We're asking ourselves that
That's what I get to. That's what I get to work out. Where are we going next? Where should we be that we're not? What are the channels that we should be in that we're not? How ultimately we have brilliant products and we have customers, and how do we just get them together? So there's all of that exciting stuff. More specifically, because I know you want more specifics.
That's always nice to have.
We know we've got a lot more that we can do in India, and so that's a really big play for us. And so that's a fantastic, exciting opportunity.
Excellent. Maybe we should do a RetailCraft Goes to India podcast.
I think it's brilliant. You've gone big in India, haven't you? Or you are going even bigger.
Yeah, no, so we are about 80 odd stores now in India. And we have got plans to be in the hundreds. I won't say what 100, but it's definitely more than one.
More than 80.
Well, on that share price moving bombshell of insight, Laura, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolute pleasure.
It's been a pleasure spending time with you, and sharing your insight with us has been very revealing and great fun. So
good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And,
enjoyed it.
Enjoy 2020. Well, what can I say? That was a great session with Laura, and throughout the time we spent with her, she was thought-provoking and exciting to her, and that was great. Any takeaways from your perspective?
Well, I love the way she described the businesses of international and the sort of UK-based business that we're all familiar with, walking around down the high street. Very similar, but also very different. And how actually, they spent a lot of time getting it to the point where it is, and it was working well. And in fact, some of those learnings are coming off the international side into the UK side. And that's, I guess, what a good business should be all about. And I think the other one is about the regional differences that they have to encounter and what work goes into making that happen, and for the magic of M&S as a brand to be executed well. And I just think that they must be working night and day. I don't know how they do it, but it's very impressive.
I think global and local, for once, it's not a cliche. It's
quite
working well.
Quite.
Anyway, thanks again to Laura for that. So that's all from the studio today. Loads of links in the programme notes about NRF, the store tour, and anything else we've referenced. So check that out. And in our next episode, we have a few more interviews from New York City, where we met with Tiffany's and Alexander Wang. So we'll have that out, we hope, very shortly. But until then, thanks once more to Laura for guesting and the team at Salesforce who organised the tour. We wish you successful trading.
Ta-da. Very good. Well done.
Lovely.
Great job.
Was that okay?
Fantastic. Yeah.
Have you got all consonants? Have you nailed all consonants, or is there a consonant to break?
Incontinence.
No, not incontinence.
Are we still
Are you
recording?
all incontinence? Yeah.
Yeah,
We're all incontinence.
God, that's a personal question.
M&S has got something for that.